Hey folks, welcome back to the DevRev. I'm Charles Max Wood. Let's dive in. We're going to be talking a little bit about podcasting this time, okay? So, a lot of you know me from podcasts, Ruby Rogues, JavaScript Jabber, Adventures in Angular. I could list a whole bunch more because we run a whole bunch at devchat.tv. But let's talk a little bit about starting a podcast, okay? Because I get asked this fairly frequently. I think the first question I get asked the most is, how do I stay current? I'll talk about that next time, okay? And I could do a whole course on that, and probably will. But the next question I usually get asked is, how do I start a podcast? Or I tried to start a podcast, I'm stuck, right? So in 10 minutes, I'm going to tell you how to start a podcast, okay? Now, keep in mind that there's a whole lot more to this. I'm going to be doing this in painting in broad strokes, and I'm just going to be giving you the big ideas, okay? And then we'll kind of dive into some of this other stuff over the course of the next few months, okay? So, how do you start a podcast? Well, the first thing you need is audio, okay? You have to record audio. That's the way podcasting works. You'll notice that I'm doing video now, but don't worry about that, okay? Don't worry about video at all. If you're already set up to do video, you already know how to do video, blah, 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 go for it. Fine, right? But I've been podcasting for 12 years, and I'm just getting into video where I talk to the camera, right? I'm still fiddling with my lighting. I'm still figuring stuff out, but I have the philosophy that you just, once you're kind of ready to go, just go. Okay. So start ugly. Okay. So if you're starting your podcast and you're like, I don't have a nice mic, right? What kind of mic does Chuck use, right? This is an Electro Voice RE20 right here. It costs like $350. You do not need this mic, right? I have one because I use it all the time, okay? I record podcasts. I record 3 to 5 podcasts a week, okay? Now that I'm doing DevRev, it's like 8 to 10 podcasts a week, right? Because I'm trying to get like 5 or 6 or 7 episodes out a week, okay? You don't need one. You need a decent mic. The mic I used to recommend is the ATR 2100. Audio-Technica has updated that. It's now the ATR 2100X, I think. And then they have another mic that's comparable. And there are a few other mics out there that are pretty darn good. I will tell you that I prefer the dynamic mics. And the reason that I prefer the dynamic mics is because you did not hear my kids running around in their room right next to my office, right? You don't hear my 5-year-old and my 11-year-old talking to each other. Okay. And that's important, because if you could hear my kids yakking the whole time, because it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, I think that's what Civil Rights Day, whatever you call it. They're not at school, right? And so I'm recording this, and they're in the other room. So dynamic mic, it tends to, you have to be closer to the mic, and it only picks up the stuff like right here. Okay. Condenser mics, they tend to pick up more stuff, so they'll pick up more of the room noise. But if you're in a studio, like if you can set up a studio, like if I could soundproof this room so you wouldn't hear my kids in the bedroom next to this, right? You wouldn't hear all the noise. Condenser mic's actually a good option. Okay, so that's the difference, because it has a larger diaphragm. It works a little bit differently. This works through capacitance. The other one works through resistance. So anyway, I can go into all the differences. All you need to know: get a dynamic mic. Get one that does USB. If you get one that does XLR, which is the 3-prong plug, like this one is, mine actually goes into a mixer. You can also get a little device that you can plug it into, and it'll go into USB in your computer. But just get a USB one. Blue Yeti, don't love it. Okay. A lot of people really like that one. I don't. Okay. It is a condenser mic. It picks up a ton of stuff. It sits on your table, and then every time you hit your table, it goes boom. Okay. So don't do that. Get something else. You can get a nice 3-prong stand that you can put on your desk that will hold the mic up where you want it, and that works. And there's a whole bunch of mic technique and all this stuff. Just get the mic, talk close to it, you'll be fine. Okay. If you do not have a mic and you do not have money for a mic, do not give up. Okay. The Apple AirPods and the Apple EarPods, right? So one has the cord and the other one doesn't. Those microphones are okay. And if that's where you're going to start, at least start. Okay. Just start your podcast and record with those. We have guests that get on the show with those microphones all the time. They sound fine. The only thing I will warn you about with the AirPods or the EarPods in particular, the ones with the cord, is the microphones on the little volume switch. Okay. And so if you're playing with that, it'll make noise. If it rubs on your beard, it'll make noise. If it rubs on your shirt, it'll make noise. Okay. So if you're going to use that, then make sure that you're either holding it out so that it'll pick up your voice and not get rubbed on stuff, or things like that. I haven't really seen that be much of a problem with women as much because it tends to hang somewhere between your chin and your shirt. And so for the men, it's usually their beard that it's rubbing on. But I have seen it rub on shirts before. I've also seen women's hair, if they move their head around when they talk, and some people do, some people don't. But if you move your head around when you talk and you have longer hair, sometimes your hair will brush it too. But that's much rarer a problem. But that will work, right? And you can actually then just record in your car, right? Russell Brunson, who's a fairly large person in the podcast space, he runs ClickFunnels, so he's actually marketing. But he records a lot of his episodes like this with his phone, okay? And so he holds his phone up to his mouth. The microphone, at least on this phone, is on the bottom of the phone. And so he just talk into it like this and get decent sound out of it. So you don't have to have a nice mic. But if you're going to record in a setting like what we're doing here, right, where I'm in an office and I'm recording this stuff, then I highly recommend you do it. You don't need the boom arm. I have the boom arm because then I can hit my desk and, no sound. You didn't hear it come through it because I've got the shock mount on it, okay? But don't worry about that stuff. Just get it later, okay? Went off on a tangent. I'm sorry. Okay, what else do you need for a podcast? Well, you record it. You have to edit it. You can edit it for free in Audacity. You can get Adobe Audition or something else to edit it. There are a whole bunch of tools. I think there's one like Sound Pro Tools. Logic Pro is an Apple one. Anyway, there's lots of stuff you can edit in. Audacity is free. So if you're going to start out, I recommend that. Once you've got it edited and you're ready to go, you can go pick up some theme music. I like getting that from Audio Jungle just because it's cheap. I think the most I've spent on any of them is $20. A lot of the music that I've gotten as theme music has been $10. So it's very affordable, but then you can have that nice lead in and lead out, and you can have it play behind your ads and things like that. And it sounds really nice. You need artwork. Okay. And I used to tell people, just go to Fiverr and just get something done. I don't do that anymore because Fiverr is hit or miss, mostly miss. Okay. I've gotten stuff that I thought was okay. And then, so I actually recommend that if you have a designer friend, have them do it. Just pay them to do it. There are artwork people out there that will do it for $50 or $100. You can just go get some clip art and put your name on it for now, right? That looks okay. Just check the license on the clip art. Most of them, the licensing on clip art is still geared toward print, which means that you can put it out there as many times as you want digitally and they won't care. So just keep that in mind. That's an option. Just make sure that you understand, because sometimes the license does say you cannot use this as your brand image, right? And so using it as your podcast artwork is kind of iffy. Don't put your face on the artwork, okay? The only people that makes sense for is celebrities, right? People will be browsing through and they see a celebrity face, right? A face they recognize. Oh, that guy or that lady, right? And then they go pick up the podcast. If you're relatively unknown, don't do it, okay? Just put something out there that people are going to like. You can always change it later, okay? I prefer doing it on 99 Designs, but that's like $300, okay? But I always get great images. I'm always happy with it. And I can pick from several options, which is kind of what I like about it. So if you have the $300, go drop it on 99 Designs. And if you don't, then go make friends with somebody or go find somebody that'll do it for $50. Okay. What else do you need? You need an RSS feed and you need a website. Okay. And you need hosting for your media files. So one of the mistakes that a lot of early podcasters make is they'll go sign up for Bluehost, which is who I recommend for your hosting. And you can just find that at devchat.tv/podcast host. And so you go check that out. You can set up a WordPress website, and WordPress works great. There are a ton of plugins for everything you're going to want. I like the themes from Second Line Themes. I'm trying to give you all the tools that you need. I use the Fusebox player on my podcast websites. Media hosting, I recommend that you go with someone like Buzzsprout or Libsyn. They're both pretty darn good. They're a little bit different. Libsyn is just the hosting. They both try and provide you with a website themselves, but migrating the website is a lot more painful than just owning the website and then having them host the media files. Okay. And so then what you do is you just upload your episodes and they host them for you. The reason you don't want to do that on like a Bluehost or something else is because once you have, let's say 10 or 15 episodes and your episodes, let's say, are 50 megabytes each, the bandwidth adds up and then they get mad at you and try and kick you off, and it's just not worth it. So go check out Buzzsprout. Those guys are awesome. Libsyn, they're awesome too. I'm friends with a lot of people at both those companies. Blueberry looks like they do a decent job too. But yeah, I really dig that. And then use the RSS feed from WordPress. You can use the PowerPress plugin and it'll actually create a feed for your categories. And so you just use if you're going to do a blog and a podcast, then you just use your podcast category feed as your podcast feed. And then you own the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle. I'm building tools for a lot of this, but it's not nearly ready. So this is kind of how we're set up for now. And it works great. So that's pretty much how I pull that stuff together. And then you can go set up your social media accounts and things like that to push the stuff forward. But anyway, that's essentially all you need. So you need the website. The website will provide the RSS feed. You need the artwork, and you need to be able to record podcast episodes. And then you can edit it with Audacity. And that's how a lot of this breaks down. I have tutorials on how to do all this stuff that's coming as part of the mastermind. You can go schedule some time to talk with me about where you're trying to get to. Honestly, they're not even sales calls yet. Eventually, once I have the mastermind, I'll be talking to you about it and then ask you to sign up. But for right now, I'm just trying to figure out where people are trying to get so I can give you the right tools to build the podcast and do the planning to get you where you want to go. So that's devchat.tv/next level. And until next time, folks, max out.